Want to say good morning. We want to say to everyone who's listening, we're going to try this again because we did have a session going and the computer froze up or something. So I'm going to try it again. But like I said earlier, we're going to do a special house calls today. We're going to do two. I'm going to do one right now, and then I'm going to leave and go to the gym. And then when I come back, I'm going to do another one for you. But want to just say you're listening to Dr. Rory T. Edwards. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please send us some information on www.rorytedwards.com, or you may send us an email at rorytedwards1 at gmail.com. That's RORYTEDWARDS1 at gmail.com. Now, today, what we're talking about, if you see it in the description, we're talking about who you let in your cipher or your life circle. Now, who are you allowing into your life? And do they deserve access to your inner circle or your cipher? So many people go around here and they allow different people in. They walk around, they want to meet everybody in the room. They don't know that when they do that, they are bringing that person's energy into their spirit, into their vibrations, and into their rhythm. And sometimes everybody in the room is not there for you to meet. So, what is that? And why am I talking about that? Well, like I said, I wasn't on last week, but I was traveling and I ran across a situation in the airport where two people were really going at it. And I thought the way they were going at it, that they were together. And then eventually, when the airport police arrived, it comes to find out that the two people didn't even know each other. And when you people start talking about the details of the argument, but it had nothing to do with anything that was relevant. It had something to do with a seat. Somebody sitting next to somebody saying the seat was taken, the person still sat there. But you got to realize that if you get on a plane, in most cases, you're going to be sitting next to somebody. Very often, you might get a middle seat that may be empty, but in most cases, you're going to be sitting next to somebody. So if you're having arguments over something like that, there was something that entered your cipher or your life circle that disrupted your energy. And so you took it to a different level. But also, what I want to do is I want to reflect on the movie Sinners. I don't know if any of you, probably a lot of you should have seen the movie Sinners, and want to say Ryan Coogler did an amazing job, as he has done with the Black Panther movies and a few other movies that he has produced. But what I want to say is that in the movie Sinners, I want to reference that. There was a scene towards the end when the people inside the juke joint realized that the people who were going outside were being, I don't know, I want to say attacked, but they were being brought into the collective uh, group of the vampires. And so when the vampires came to the door to try to get the people inside the building, they had to be invited in. And one of the ladies was like, "That's not whatever his name was." And so he kept asking, well, tell me to come back in, invite me back in. And they didn't invite him back in. And so eventually, what happened was one of the ladies got so mad after a long while. She said, "Well, come on in." And when she said, "Come on in," they kicked through the door and they went to doing what vampires do. But the moral of the story is that we have to realize, how many times do we invite people and how do we tell people, "Come on in into our life and into our circle and into our cipher," without ever knowing that everyone doesn't deserve access to your space, your peace, or your energy. Yet often destruction only gets in because we open the door. And so when people look at situations and they say, "I don't know how that person got into my life." Well, you invited them in. You brought them in. When they asked for an invitation to come in, you could have denied it, but you didn't. So I'm going to talk about five things today. I'm going to talk about understanding what your cipher is. I'm going to talk about the invitational principle. I'm going to talk about the cost of letting the wrong people in. I'm going to talk about guarding your cipher. and I'm going to talk about reflections and challenge. And then I'm going to end with an impact statement that talks about how we get away from letting people into our cipher. So, what is our cipher? A lot of people who were back in the 70s understand cipher was a word used around then, letting people into your cipher, uh, you know, and we had a lot of words like that. You don't usually hear the word too much now because a lot of people have gone away from the righteous way of life, and they don't consider themselves, um, you know, liberated people. So we talk about the cipher, and I talk about the cipher because what is the cipher? Cipher is a little bit more than your circle of influence. Let me tell you what your cipher is. Your cipher is your life circle. It's your sacred space, your community, your spiritual and emotional fortress. That's what your cipher is. It's a little bit more than your five closest friends. It's those things again: your life circle, your sacred space, your community, your spiritual and your emotional fortress. And so your cipher isn't just who's around you, it's the vibration you live in and the people you allow to influence it. So when we talk about understanding the cipher, it's a little bit different than saying this person's my friend, this person's my friend. No, it's you. It's the foundation of who you are. So let's talk about part two, the invitational principle. Just like the vampire story, negativity, toxic people, or harmful influences can't fully harm you unless you invite them in. So, what are some forms of how you invite people into your life? You may be aware of some of them, you may not be aware of them. Something is saying yes when you should have said no. Let your conscience be your guide. There was a song by Sun back in the day, I'm your conscience. Let your conscience be your guide. You don't have to say yes to everything to feel accepted. You don't have to say yes to everything to feel wanted, feel valued. There's a time that you can say no to things that are going to influence your life or influence your life in a negative way. What is the second thing? Ignoring red flags. Believing you can fix someone who doesn't want to be changed. And mistaking familiarity for loyalty, right? Your spirit signs the invitation long before your mouth speaks the word. That's a quote I want to share with you. Your spirit signs the invitation long before your mouth speaks the words. So let's move on to part three, the cost of letting the wrong people in your life. Number one, it's emotional drain. That's what we call stress, anxiety, and doubt. The second thing is your spiritual drain, loss of focus, detachment from faith or values. Number three is the practical drain, missed opportunities, financial chaos, broken relationships. And let's tie it back to the vampires center story again. When you let in vampires, they don't just visit, they feed. And what they feed on is you. So when you let leeches into your life, they don't just come in to visit, they come in to feed on you because their job is to take all of the resources and the blood you have out of your body so that they can survive. So you got to understand what we're talking about here. Now let's go on to number four, guarding the cipher. Because what I tell you before your cipher was, I told you your cipher was your life circle, your sacred space, your community, your spiritual and emotional fortress. So how do you guide that cipher and how do you guard it? Discernment. Not everyone who knocks deserves to enter. Number two, boundaries. You can love people without giving them full access. Number three, the accountability circle. Keep wise, trusted, purpose driven people close. And the fourth thing is your spiritual grounding. Keep your life filled with light so darkness finds no place. So, if we refer back to the movie, if the woman never said come in, the vampires would have stayed powerless. Your no is your protection. What would have happened? They would have just waited for the sun to come up and the vampires would have had to go before the sun came up. So that's the things that we need to do. We need to understand it. And now, what's part five, your reflection and challenges? I want you to ask yourself, who have you been inviting into your cipher without realizing the cost? Think about that for a minute. Who have you been inviting into your cipher without realizing the cost? Sometimes people just invite people in because they're lonely. They want somebody to talk to, and they don't realize that that person understands that their energy is low and they're going to suck your energy, and so they're going to have to get invited in. But you need to understand, realizing what the cost is for that. Number two, what boundaries do you need to rebuild? What boundaries have you let down? There's a movie getting ready to come out on Netflix about the story about New Orleans and Katrina. Those boundaries need to be rebuilt for the people of New Orleans to feel safe if another Category 5 hurricane comes that way. So, and the third thing, if you locked your life like a house, who would you still give a key to? Right? If you locked your life like your house, who would you still give a key to? Those are questions that you need to ask yourself about who you let into your cipher and into your life. Now, there's a challenge I want to give you this week. I want you to audit your cipher. Because you remember again what I told you your cipher is? Identify one person, habit, or energy you've been allowing in that no longer serves your growth. And close that door. Close that door. Right? Close that door. I want to end with this closing impact statement. I want to say, remember, the vampires never had power until the words were spoken. Protect your life the same way. Because once you let something in, it's much harder to get it out, right? Your cipher is sacred. I want you to guard it. I want you to protect it. And only let those in who bring light, love, and life. Only let those in who bring light, love, and life. Because who you let in your life determines the outcome of your life. And so, with that said, like I told you, thank you very much. I hope this week that the volume's working. I tested it this week again, like I did the last time, and I hope it's working this time. But I want to say to everybody, thank you again for joining. And like I said earlier, I'm going to the gym right now. I got to keep my life lit so that I can continue to live the life that is on purpose with what I'm supposed to be doing. So I want to say thank you to all those people. I'm gonna come back and I have another house calls today. We're doing a double dose today. That's how we're feeling because I wanted to make sure that you get these house call messages because a lot of people have sent in things that they wanted to hear a message about. And I want to let you know I'm not an expert on everything, but I do take pride in the fact that the messages that I'm delivering, I have done enough research on them and have lived a lot of life experiences that give me the opportunity to be professed, to be an expert in helping you to get to that next level. Not just life experiences, but the education experience also. All right. So to my people who join in, who listen, I want to thank you. I want to say thank you to Mr. Mike Grubbs who joined in earlier. Thank you for joining. And we're going to come back with another house calls later on this afternoon when we return back from the gym. So until we speak again or until uh, things happen for you in a very positive way, I want you to be very aware of who you invite into your cipher and into your life. This is your man, Dr. Rory Tierwas, and I say, be well and ashe.